Hey everyone and welcome. I am so incredibly excited to dive into today's explainer with you. We have a truly unbelievable, literally life or death true story to unpack today. It's a journey that starts in the absolute most terrifying way imaginable, but somehow ends up completely revolutionizing a classroom. We're looking at the story of Dr. Elan Bar Shalom. He's an educator whose very sudden brush with death sparked a massive cognitive leap, and that leap led to a completely new way of teaching called the Windows educational model.
To really wrap your head around how wild this origin story is, you gotta hear this quote from Elan's son, Elam. He said, "I had no idea there was a connection between the heart events and the surgery you went through, and the idea for your amazing initiative." Elam, like a lot of people, saw his dad's brilliant educational initiative blooming, but he was completely in the dark that it was born directly out of severe physical trauma. It's just a stunning realization, right? An unbelievable medical emergency unexpectedly gave birth to a revolutionary teaching method.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, a sudden brush with death. So, picture this. The year is 2012, right after the Passover holiday. What started as a completely normal week rapidly turns into a terrifying timeline. Elan initially thinks he just has a routine, relatively simple case of the flu. He's got some pain in his diaphragm, but he just keeps working. Eventually, though, a nurse sends him to the emergency room. And suddenly, bam, doctors are rushing all around him. He is having a massive heart attack. They rush him into a catheterization procedure with like 10 doctors in the room. And honestly, here's a detail that tells you exactly who Elan is. As he's lying there terrified, he treats the procedure like a university. He's literally watching the monitors, totally fascinated by seeing his own internal organs and his heart. But that fascination was cut short because the doctors told him he needed immediate bypass surgery. He miraculously survives, recovers for a few days, and is discharged. He goes home thinking, okay, I'm starting a new life. But that night, things take a very, very dark turn. He starts losing consciousness and suffering massive collapses at his home. The very next morning, he's just sitting at his computer trying to answer some emails when another huge attack hits. His partner, Salit, physically catches him as he falls from his chair. She quite literally saved his life right then and there. It turns out he was suffering from ventricular fibrillation. He's rushed into an ambulance, experiencing attack after attack, with the paramedics desperately performing resuscitation the entire ride back to the hospital. He actually later described the experience as feeling like he was visiting the world above. Which brings us to Section 2, the hospital bed epiphany.
Now, shift gears with me for a second. Following all this trauma, Saladid is naturally and understandably deeply traumatized. Her friend, Nina, comes to the hospital to support her, and she brings a copy of the popular Israeli women's magazine, Laisha, just to, serve as a distraction. After they step out of the room, Elan is just sitting in his hospital bed, reading through its pages, and he notices the layout. There's a main story right in the center, and it's surrounded by smaller, separate windows, or boxes, containing reactions and expansions on that main topic. Bam! An absolute epiphany. And this brilliantly illustrates his realization. This magazine layout is the ultimate blueprint for digital learning. He suddenly envisions a system where the teacher posts the main central issue, and it's completely surrounded by windows, digital spaces where the students themselves react, expand, link, and create their own materials.
Okay, so the next day, Salit comes back to the hospital, completely terrified, just wanting to know if he's okay. And there's Elan, sitting there all smug, hair a total mess, wired up to a million beeping machines and tubes, and he pitches this epiphany to her. He says, "Listen, my Salit, my brain has opened. In the Laisha magazine, there is a great idea for modern education." And honestly, her reaction is so perfectly human. She looks at this battered man and just says, "Your brain didn't open, it got messed up. You almost died yesterday, and now you're talking about education and a women's magazine?"
So let's look at what he actually built. Section 3, the Windows educational model. So, the crucial point here is how this practically operates, because it's all about shifting control away from the teacher. Step 1, the teacher simply poses a central issue on a main website. Step 2, the kids go into Google Drive and create their very own presentation slides or documents. Step 3, those kids' slides are embedded directly onto the teacher's main site as individual windows. And Step 4 is where the magic really happens. Whenever the kids dynamically update the content in their own Google Drive, it automatically updates in their window on the main site. The kids are taking total ownership. They are autonomously designing, writing, and entirely filling the window interfaces themselves. They are running the show.
The whole thing relies on total student agency. There are absolutely no leading questions from Elan. There are zero traditional worksheets. It is built entirely on complete trust. Elon's role transforms from a traditional, standing at the front of the room lecturer into merely a guide. The kids use their own language, they completely manage their own digital real estate, and Elon only steps in for minor corrections, and always with their agreement. It is a profound level of respect for the learner.
Moving right along to Section 4, Kids Build a Museum. Fast forward 3 years after surviving his heart failure, Elon finally executes this model in the real world. He's given just 5 hours a week to teach one class using project-based learning. The theme he chose? Kids Build a Museum. Over those 5 hours a week, these kids became actual curators and researchers. They created rich digital collections of Jewish holy objects. They built digital interfaces full of menorahs and Hanukkahs. They documented personal family artifacts, literally bringing their own heritage right into the classroom. They researched synagogues from around the world, and even local ones in their own neighborhoods. And they wrapped it up with a project called the Mezuzahs of Your Home. It was so engaging, so magnetic, that even the parents started getting involved in helping with the digital presentations. This wild hospital bed dream had become a vibrant, functioning reality.
And that leads us to Section 5, a rejuvenated mind.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the physical reality behind Elon's claim that his brain opened. He was actually right. Because of the successful bypass surgery and the vastly improved heart function, a massive rush of fresh, oxygen-rich blood was now flowing to his brain. His cognitive abilities physically accelerated. His thoughts became incredibly sharp. He even reported that his hearing changed. He started processing music differently, suddenly able to hear and appreciate these really complex layers of harmony and melody in ways he literally couldn't before. The surgery that saved his life actually literally rejuvenated his mind and sparked all this creativity.
Which brings us full circle right back to Salit, his future wife, who supported him through the absolute darkest moments of this journey. Looking at the massive success of the Windows project and the incredible museum that kids built, she offered this incredibly profound, funny, and loving quip. She said, "What luck that you were left with a messed up brain." It's such a beautiful bookend, isn't it? Grounding this whole story of technological and educational innovation right back in its deeply human, deeply loving roots.
So what does this all mean for us? If a terrifying moment of trauma and a simple layout in a women's magazine can unlock such a massive cognitive leap for a teacher, is giving up control in the classroom the missing key to modern education? What actually happens when we stop handing out worksheets, take a step back, and finally trust kids to build their own windows to the world? It's definitely something for all of us to think about, whether we're in a classroom, a boardroom, or just managing our own families at home. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope you found Dr. Elon Bar Shalom's story as inspiring as I did. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you next time.